This chapter talked about how improv is super beneficial to students, especially when they're developing, um, when they're super young and they're improving from a young age. It gives them a lot of confidence once they get older, because younger kids will do anything really on their instrument because they're not afraid of like sticking out or playing a wrong note. But if you ask a group of high schoolers to improv, they'll be super shy about it because if they haven't done it before, then they're just going to assume that people are going to judge them if they play like a wrong note. So starting them really young with improv, I think, is really beneficial to their development, um, and their confidence. Um, it's also beneficial because improv is like a super important part of a lot of different music genres, like fiddle, mariachi, jazz, bluegrass, rock. Um, so if one of your students wants to play in a different style other than like classical or music that they played in orchestra, um, knowing how to improvise can be super helpful, especially if they want to play like jazz, if they want to go into jazz, especially bass players, um, or playing like a rock band, um, and having to figure out like different chord charts and playing based off of those. Um, so there's a lot of different ways you can include improv in your lesson plans or anything that you really do with them. Um, just some basic things like introducing different scales. So giving students notes from a scale, that they can use while you like put a drone on in the background, um, would make it less scary for them or less intimidating if you give them like these parameters. If you want to teach them like a different time signature, putting on a rock beat that like has that time signature. So like if you want to teach like 6/8, finding a 6/8 drum beat for them to play over. Um, yeah, or you can also teach them different modes. So giving them notes in whatever mode you want to teach them, could be super helpful. Um, there's also a lot of different games that you can play that the chapter doesn't really talk about, but um, I did. It wasn't really a training, but it was kind of like an improv retreat this past spring in Rochester with Alice Knack. She does this school of music thing, and she has her own like improv training kind of thing called Creative Art Development. So me and all the people who are also part of the improv e-board, we went there in Rochester for a week to just like improv, and she taught us a bunch of different games. One of them is called Minnows. Um, this game is kind of like we turn the lights off and then we all close our eyes and we can only use our ears to like improv with each other. And basically, one person starts out, like you start from silence, and then one person comes out with an idea. So maybe like it's a like some sort of like theme that they play on their instrument, then everyone else has to copy them. So it could be something simple like just playing quarter notes over and over again. Um, but everyone has to follow that one person who decides to start in the beginning. And it could be anyone. It's like whoever starts first. And then once that gets going, then someone else can break off from the original idea and start their new idea. And then people can choose to either stay with the old idea or break off to the new one. But if no one joins your new idea, then you have to go back to the original. It sounds more complicated than I'm like probably describing it as, but it's super simple, and I think it's a fun game. You can also play. There is this game called a rhythm machine. So you have one student start out just playing a rhythm using any pitch, and like we're all sitting in a circle. So one student starts, and then the next student joins in playing the same rhythm, but they can use like a different pitch or whatever pitch they want to use, as long as they play the same one. And then everyone in the circle starts to join in. Um, like playing the rhythm, and then the rhythm master, whoever started, can change the rhythm whenever they want. And then you can make this more complicated by like having two rhythm masters, and then one half of the circle does one rhythm and the other half does another rhythm. Yeah, there's a bunch of different games, improv games, and you could probably make up a bunch of different games to do as well. When I observed this past spring, I led a group improv like session. I can't remember exactly what we did, but we started out just like passing ideas around, so but just with our voices. So like we did body percussion, and this was like high school too, but they loved it. So we started with body percussion, and we would just go around, do rhythms like that, all in a circle, and then we transferred the like body percussion rhythm stuff to our instruments. So like I started them out with like something more like comfortable and less scary, and then once we like got our instruments up, they kind of became more comfortable, and then we went around in a circle doing other ideas. And yeah, there's just like a bunch of cool stuff that you can do, and introducing it is super. It doesn't have to be this complicated either. Like even for a warm up, if you put like a drone on and have them improv, I think that's super fun and it can benefit them. But definitely, I think the most important thing is starting them at a younger age. So, like in elementary school, because then they'll be more familiar with it as they get older, and they'll think that it's just like a normal thing that happens in orchestra. And I think that's really cool. And if I ever get the opportunity to do that, then I definitely will.